Hello, welcome back to my Terraforming Mars strategy guide. Today's a fun one. Today we're talking about combos. So who doesn't like combos? Combos is a lot of fun to talk about, and it's also kind of nice to know like instinctively which combos you should maybe search for in your own games. So I put together 50 combos. I think most of these are really good. There are some here that are a little bit questionable, but I'll get to that once we get there. If you want to see a list with all the combos I have for you, just go to the end of this video. So yeah, let's go. So first of all, let's get the city stuff out of the way. So we got standard technology with Tharsis. So this will allow you to buy the standard project build a city for 19 mega credit instead of 25, and then it'll give you like 2 mega credit production, a placement bonus, and a few BP. This combo is fine if you're going for cities. It's nothing amazing, but it's okay. Here's the more well-known combo, Immigrant City plus Tharsis, and this is for good reason, of course, because all of a sudden when you're building a city you get 3 mega credit production. So now if you're building the standard project it costs 25, then you get 3 back, so now it costs 22, and you get, like I said, 3 mega credit production. But with this combo here, as opposed to the first one, you don't really have to go for the standard build a city project for 25. You can also just have city cards. In fact, city cards would be much better if you have it. So like Immigrant City, Tharsis, and maybe Corporate Stronghold or something. That's a really good opening. And we are talking about combos today, but I mean combos could be like a number of different things. As soon as you have more city synergetic cards like these stacked together, well, you can call that a combo. But we already talked about this a lot in episode 3, so if you want more of the city stuff, go to episode 3. But let's talk some more about standard technology, because this can be a really strong card and it can combo with a lot of different things. So for instance, we got standard technology plus Credicor. So now you can make the build a city standard project for 18 mega credit, and it's kind of good. Like in the mid to late game when you're like trying to fill up the map with like cities and greeneries, that can be quite strong, especially considering that with this combo you can also build a greenery for 16 mega credits. Like in the late game and especially the last generation, it's really common that people actually spend 23 mega credits just to get a greenery down. So if you can do this for 16, it's really good. Then we got a fun one, standard technology plus Thorgate. So now you can build the standard project power plant for 5 mega credits. There's also this really funny combo that if you also on top of this have power infrastructure, then all of a sudden you can make 1 mega credit production for 5 mega credits. I played this like once or twice, and it is so nice that if you just have mega credits left over in the early game, or if you just have bad cards, then you could just build a bunch of energy and turn this energy into gold, and it's actually a lot of fun. But I wouldn't say it's completely game winning. It's fine. And also, like we're gonna talk about later in this video, getting 3 different combo pieces, the odds of getting all 3 in a game, that's very low. Then we got advanced allies and Phoblog. So all of a sudden your titanium is worth 5 mega credit per titanium. And I mean, if you really go down this road, then we could also consider Mercurian allies, and we can also consider the Audi policy if you're playing with turmoil. So now your titanium is worth 7 mega credit per titanium. And then we kind of get to this point, right, where, well, you need this, but then you also need titanium production, and then you also need something to play a lot of space tax, because otherwise you're just gonna be stuck with a lot of titanium. So it is a little bit of a stretch to make this work, but that being said, it can be really strong actually. Having like steel and titanium that's worth a lot, this can be like a huge boost to your engine. But a combo that's a little more reliable could be this one, Iron Mining Industries plus Phoblog. And the nice thing about this one is that the 10 titanium you have to begin with Phoblog, all of a sudden you can use this directly to play Iron Mining Industries, because that's 40, right? And then you just need 1 more mega credit, and then you just paid for this really expensive card. And the other kind of cool thing about this combo is that it is sort of kind of 10 mega credit production if you can use the titanium throughout the game. So it's kind of nice. You're really happy if you see this combo in your opening hand. It's quite good. And once again, I mean, we could keep going, but if you put advanced allies on this, it's of course even better. Then we got Arctic Algae with the Lakefront Resource Corporation. So if you have this, then you just need some more cards and some more stuff that actually gives you water, and then you go. Then we got High Tech Lab with Mass Converter. It does require you to get like another 4 science tag, but let's say you have this, so all of a sudden the High Tech Lab, that's the last science tag you actually need to play Mass Converter. So if you have these 2 combined, then you can draw like 6 cards every generation and keep 1 of those, and that's really strong. So basically what I'm saying is High Tech Lab is really good, but it's only good if you have a lot of energy production, like for example Mass Converter. Then we got a lot of stuff with the Viron Corporation. So this corporation makes it so you could use action cards twice in a generation instead of just once. But I gotta be honest, in most cases the Viron Corporation is not that good, because you kind of need one of the good combos to actually make this corporation worth it. So it could be something like this, for example, Orbital Cleanup, of course, provided that you have a lot of science tags. Could also be Martian rails if there are a lot of cities on the map. Could also be AI Central. This is like the juicy one. This is maybe one of the best combos you can have with Viron, because just getting 4 cards every generation, that's really strong. This is actually the combo I had in real life when I got 280 on like 11 generations or something. So what I had is AI Central plus Viron, and then I also had a bunch of money income. So yeah, you know what's coming. If you have a lot of card draw, which this is definitely a lot of card draw, and if you couple that with a lot of money income as well, then you are definitely going God mode. So here is also one of the more well-known combos. This is Soletta plus the Helion Corporation. So let's actually talk about this Soletta card for a second. So the card costs 3, so for 38 you get 7 mega credit production. You can also use it as heat to get the heat up, so it's a little bit better, but let's say for the sake of argument that it's 7 mega credit production. If that is the case, then you're actually paying 5.4 mega credit just to get 1 mega credit production. So if this is the early game, it's still like okay, but if we're getting to the mid to late game, it's not really that useful, to be honest. It's kind of immigration shuttles territory, so it's okay, but it's really not that good. But then of course, if you pick this up in the mid to late game, likely you will also have a lot of discount on space tax and stuff like this, so it could still be okay. So I might be hating on this a little bit, but of course, that being said, I'm also slightly happy if I get this combo to begin with. It's okay, it's kind of nice. Other hit combos could be some of this stuff. We talked about this in previous videos, and like we talked about, getting exactly 8 heat production, that's kind of worth 8 mega credit production because it's the same as 1 TR per generation. So this is kind of good until the parameter is closed, and then it's useless unless you have like Helion or Insulation or Caretaker contract. Now let's talk about what I think is one of the absolute best uses for standard technology in the game, and that is standard technologies plus Poseidon. Because if you watch my previous videos, you will know that I really enjoy colonies, and I think colonies are very strong. So if you can get just 3 discount on all colonies, that's just an incentive to buy all of them, and especially if you got Poseidon, because then you also get 1 mega credit production every time a colony is placed, so it's even better in this case. Just simply having standard technology with the colonies expansion, that's enough. That's like the best use of standard technology, at least in the early game. Later on it's really good with like cities and greeneries, but in the early game, honestly, this is where it's this simple. It's just standard technology plus colonies. It's fine. So here's the combo I showed you in the first video, and this game was just so easy, honestly. I had Ecology Research plus Standard Technology plus Poseidon Corporation. So in my opening hand in the first few generations, I kept very few cards. I only kept the really good cards, and the reason is this is all I want this game. I just want to build a bunch of colonies, and then when I have all the available colonies, then I just slam down Ecology Research. It's a very fun and it's a very effective way to just stomp the game, to be honest. Another colony combos, honestly, could just be a lot of the stuff you see here. I mean, synergies and combos, it's very closely related, so it's kind of hard to say when is it one or the other. But here is a combo I don't think a lot of people are thinking about, because this is really thinking out of the box on this one. So we got the Polythemus Corporation, and this corporation, to be honest, it's kind of bad. It's really a bad corporation, but it does give you a lot of stuff to begin with. But then the effect of the corporations is negative. You have to pay 5 mega credits every time you buy a card, as opposed to normally you only pay 3, and this is including the research phase. This is really terrible. So how can you solve this problem? You just play with colonies, honestly. Especially if Pluto is available, this is perfect, because Pluto's draw you a lot of cards, and if you're drawing cards for free, then obviously you don't have to pay 5 to actually buy a card. But there could also just be some of the other stuff you want. Do you want mega credit production? Build a colony in Luna. Do you want some steel? Build a colony in Ceres. Do you want to close the game? I don't know really why you would want that with this corporation, but it could be the case. Then you build a colony in Io and so on. So what I'm trying to say, that even though cards are so expensive with this corporation, colonies just solves a lot of that. You can like get so many different things with colonies, so instead of like using cards to build your engines, you just build a bunch of colonies. Then we got some of the green tech combos, like we also mentioned in previous episodes. So we got ants or Venusian insects. The reason these cards are good is that a microbe on this card is worth half a point, so if you can couple this with like Enceladus or something, it's really good. Could also be sulphur-eating bacteria together with Enceladus. This is like this combo is actually kind of fun, because it's like your own personal Luna, especially considering that no one is really going to contest you. They'll only contest you if they themselves have a good microbe card, otherwise you can get Enceladus all to yourself. So it really opens up the door for you to get maybe a double colony, or maybe even a triple colony in Enceladus, and that could be really strong, of course. Imagine if you have a triple colony in Luna, you basically won the game, but now you can do it on Enceladus, and maybe people can stop you, but maybe they can't. So it's just a fun combo to keep in mind. I use this sometimes and it feels really good, but of course this is only if you play with the Venus expansion, and on top of that you also need the Venus scale to go to 6, so it's not that bad, but it can be a little bit annoying, especially considering that this is more like make credit production, what you're getting out of this. So the fact that the Venus scale has to be 6 before I can actually get this going is a little bit annoying. So more realistically, especially in the mid to late game, you should really use Enceladus together with ants or Venusian insects. This is probably better for you. Then we got fish plus large convoy. This is like a classic, but it's a classic for good reason, because all of a sudden large convoy, this card itself is like worth 7 victory points for you. So normally this is a combo you play in the last generation, or maybe just before the water actually closes, so you can get the last available TR for the water. But it's like, when you think about it, in this case large convoy is like equivalent to a Jovian amplifier. It's quite expensive, but you're getting a lot of stuff. You're getting 7 victory points. In this case, you're also getting like 2 cards. And then the fish card itself, it also gives you 1 victory point. So this combo as a whole is like 8 victory points on top of whatever fish can get you in future generations. And then we can also throw Miranda into the mix, as well as other cards or stuff that can just give you animals. So this is why it's really important to have at least 1 animal where the animals are worth 1 victory point per animal. And while we at it, if you have these combos where you can get a lot of animals, of course, if you have meat industries, this is even better. Then we got extreme cold fungus. If you couple this with Regolith eaters or GHG producing bacteria, this is like 1 free TR every generation, so that's also kind of really good. So like we talked about, this is also kind of worth like 8 mega credit production, at least until the parameter closes. When the parameter closes, it's really bad again. So Regolith eaters or GHG producing bacteria, I don't think these cards are very good. You really need something like extreme cold fungus to actually make these cards worth it, I think. You could also use extreme cold fungus together with ants or Venusian insects to get at least 1 victory point per generation, and this doesn't stop at any point. This just keeps going until the game is over. It doesn't matter that the parameters close in this case. And instead of extreme cold fungus, we could also put in this card, bacterial research. So this is also really nice with especially ants and Venusian insects, because this is a card you want to play in the last generation. Extreme cold fungus together with sulphur-eating bacteria or recyclone. Also very nice, of course. Then we got this stuff, Mars University plus Olympus Conference. And to be honest, it's hard to say if this is just a really good combo or if these 2 cards by themselves are just excellent. But nevertheless, when I've had these 2 cards in my game, I've literally never had a bad game. The only way that these 2 cards are useless is if you never draw a science tag after you play these. So it could happen, but I mean, in most cases, this is just very good. The reason you could call this a combo is that all of a sudden the bad science tag, well, now you just keep it because it's a science tag, because science tag does so much for you right now. And like we mentioned in the previous video, these 2 cards also get exponentially better if you have more card draw to go with this. So let's say, for example, you have Point Luna and then you have these 2 cards. Well, now you're approaching God mode territory. Here's a combo that just got announced like last week, or maybe when this is out, maybe 2 weeks ago or something. This is Triple Corporation. It's now canon, man. Oh man, this makes me excited. So you got Merger plus Double Down. This means that you can have 3 corporations together in a game. You can play with 3 corporations at once, and that's, man, it's fun. I like this. We kinda already had this, but this is only if we played with user-made content, but now it's canon. Now you can actually theoretically happen in a game of Terraforming Mars. It's very unlikely, but it could be a lot of fun to actually play a game with 3 corporations. So these combos I just mentioned, these are also combos I'm using in my Theorycraft opening hand, which we talked about in the last video. This is like pure Theorycraft, but as you can imagine, having all of this stuff in the same deck is completely insane. And if you couple all of this card draw together with card discount, this is also very strong. You could just say a combo is like card discount plus card draw, and that's a really good combo as well. Then we got Physics Complex together with CEO's favorite project, of course, also really good. Normally you play this combo in the very last generation of the game. Why? Because first of all, you need to actually have something on Physics Complex before you can play this. And also this combo gives you nothing except victory points, so that's another reason you want to play this in the very last generation. And finally, maybe you pick up Earth Office or something. So the CEO's favorite project can actually like be better to play in the last generation. Maybe you'll regret having played it earlier, so you just play this in the last generation, that's all I'm saying. Then we got Physics Complex together with Mass Converter. It's a little bit the same story like we talked about with like High Tech Lab plus Mass Converter. It's really good if you can get these together, because Physics Complex is another card that requires you to have a lot of energy production, and also Physics Complex by itself also has a science tag, so this could just be the last science tag you need in order to play Mass Converter. Then I saw on the Facebook Mars group that someone mentioned this combo, said, is this like the best combo you've ever seen? And yeah, it could be if you have literally 12 energy production, and then you also need maybe even more energy production if you're like using energy to trade or something. So this is of course still very good, but it does come with a cost, like 12 energy. It's actually a high cost, that's all I'm saying. Then we got one of the really good combos, Robotic Workforce together with either Gyropolis or Medical Lab. This is magnificent. If you're not lucky enough to get those, you can also use this with Strip Mine or Mohole Area, and it's definitely good, but it's not maybe as good as you think, because like if we take Strip Mine, then all of a sudden you have to spend another 2 energy production to actually play this. And worth noting, you're not getting the 2 oxygen when you're using Robotic Workforce on Strip Mine, because the 2 oxygen, they are not part of the brown box, if that makes sense, and Robotic Workforce only copies the box itself. Mohole Area, that's kinda nice of course. Getting 4 heat production for 9 mega credits, that's of course a really good deal, especially if there's a purpose with this heat. So if you're playing this, I'm assuming that you have a purpose in mind for this heat production. Then let's look at some floater combos. So we got Stratopolis plus Force Precision participation. This reminds me a little bit of the micro combos we saw earlier, like with extreme cold fungus together with GHG producing bacteria, for example. So you're getting 1 free TR every generation. That's kind of good. That's like 8 mega credit production. Then you also have 2 on Stratopolis itself. That's 10. So this combo here is a little bit more expensive because of Stratopolis, but it's definitely worth it, because even if the Venus scale is closed completely, then you can start pumping floaters on Stratopolis itself, because the floaters here are worth 1/3 of a point. Then we also got Stratopolis plus floating habs. This is a little bit better because the floaters on floating habs is like worth 1 victory point per 2 floaters instead of 1 per 3, which it is on Stratopolis. So this combo here is like 1.5 victory point per generation. Then we got the really good late game combo. It's hydrogen to Venus plus floating habs. In the late game this can be like a lot of points, and worth noting this is a space event, so probably you have a lot of discount on events or space events or space tags. So this does of course require you to get some Jovians for this to be good, but when you think about it, this is like half of a Jovian amplifier for 11, and then you have a bunch of discounts, so it's kind of good. But it is of course best with floating habs. There are a few other cards that can also hold these Venus floaters, but it's not as good. Floating habs is definitely the best card for this. You can also use this like in the mid game and just put it on something like forced participation just to get 1 free Venus every generation, also okay. And then we got some of the a little bit less impactful combos. I would say these are still good if you get them in a game, but it's not like broken or anything. So for example, we got floater technology plus aerial mappers. Well, this is just like 1 free card per generation. It's fine. It's actually literally sub-cross measurement if you think about it. Could also be floater technologies plus Titan shuttles. In this case, floater technology is literally a titanium mine. It's kind of funny, but I would argue floater technology is even better than this, because this is like a combo you could be running in the early game, but then later on you can actually use floater technology together with another floater card. So the flexibility of floater technology makes this a little bit better than the titanium mine in this case. Floater technology plus local shading. I mean, in the early game this is 1 free mega credit production every generation, and these cards are pretty cheap. Fine. And basically, like we talked about, you can look at all of these floater cards here. A lot of these cards put together are like combos, you know. But let's look at one of the absolute best combos in the game. I'm talking kelp farming plus ecology experts. So yes, this does cost you an entire prelude and 20 mega credits, because you actually have to buy the card and then you have to play kelp farming. But even this, man, this is completely worth it, because look at what you're getting. You're getting 2 mega credit production and 4 plant production. And then on top of that, you get 2 plants, 2 plant tags. So it's definitely worth it. There's literally no case where I would not keep this in my opening hand. If I see this in my opening hand, I keep it. No questions asked. And kelp farming is the best one, but it could also be like farming plus ecology experts. Could also be trees plus ecology experts. Could also be penguins plus ecology experts. Penguins is probably the best animal card you can have. But why do I say penguins is better than fish in this case? And the reason is that you really have to think about when is stuff actually being played. So the way you do it is first you play all of your corporations and then you play your prelude. So when you play this ecology experts, it's very unlikely that anybody except for yourself actually has a plant production at this point, because the only way they have plant production is if they have a corporation with plant production, Ecoline, or maybe there's one more, I'm not sure. If they don't have it on the corporation, which is unlikely, then they must have it on a prelude, which is just as unlikely, because generally the preludes with plant production, those are not that strong. And also it's only the people who are actually before you, like if you're first player, you literally cannot steal plant production from someone else's prelude, because you're gonna play your prelude before they play their prelude. So it's very likely you have to take this plant production from yourself, and that's a little bit awkward. But this combo has been the subject of a lot of debate, so I think it's really interesting to talk about. So for example, if you also have Viron to go with it, then all of a sudden you can get 2 animals on your card every generation. So is this good? So here's a thread I read on BoardGameGeek, and it's like an old thread from 2019. I'm gonna link it in the description. So basically what happened is that this is the first video where I actually wanted to do some research online, because I thought it would be a shame to actually forget about a really funny or really good combo. So I googled some Terraforming Mars combo and just happened upon this random thread on BoardGameGeek. So this guy Scott D, he asked this very interesting question. He said that a player in my latest game was lucky enough to draw all of the following during setup. Fish action lets you basically add 1 victory point per turn. Ecology experts prelude card that lets you play a card from hand ignoring fish global requirement. It gives you the plant production fish needs to reduce. Viron corporation that lets you repeat a single action each turn. This combo seems massively overpowered. If the game goes to 10 generations generation, that combo is worth 20 victory points, significantly better than the 3 to 5 victory points you might otherwise be able to wiggle out of fish. So what is the drawback to this combo? Even if you use Viron's ability on a different card sometimes, you're likely still looking at roughly 15 victory points in a 10 generation game, something like this. It just seems like a huge gain with next to no downsides at all. Now, I'm not hating on this guy Scott D. I think his question is very good, and it's very nice that he actually started this entire debate around it. But one of the downsides, as I see it, is the value is not really enough. It's like okay, but it's not like broken or anything. We'll get back to that in just a second. But the other downside is that it is of course also very unlikely to actually draw these 3 combo pieces at once. But you don't have to take my word for it. Instead, I refer you to this nerd. So this guy, Trevor Scott, he actually answered this on the BGG Thread. So he said, to put it bluntly, the extreme low probability of drawing it. Okay, so let's see. So I'm assuming here that you're using all the Venus Next and Prelude cards, since Viron is a Venus Next corporation and Ecology Experts is obviously a Prelude card. So I'm assuming that you include the corporation era from the base set. If either of these assumptions are inaccurate, that will obviously change the numbers a little bit. With base plus colonies expansions plus Venus Next plus Prelude, we are talking about 264 cards, 22 corporations and 35 prelude cards. The chance of drawing fish in the opening hand is then 10 divided by 264 or 3.79%. The chance of drawing Viron as one of the 2 corporations is 2 divided with 22 or that's 9%. The chance of drawing Ecology Experts as one of your 4 prelude cards is 4 divided by 35, so that's 11.43%. Put all that together and the chance of drawing this combo is 80 out of 203,280 or 1 out of 2,541. So that's approximately 0.0394%. I love this, man. People who actually do the math on this is oh, it's so good. So I'm gonna keep going. Yes, it's actually a straight up probability like this because there's no possibility of repeating cards. Feel free to do the math yourself if you don't believe me. I believe you. Don't worry. There are some obnoxious powerful combos in the game, no question about it. Also Recyclone plus Extreme Pull Fongus is an example, we actually talked about that before. Omni plus Space Mirrors plus Equatorial Magnetizer is another. Almost any card-driven game is going to have them, and there's really nothing you can do to avoid them except for further diluting the card pool. But that will add more powerful combinations. For math purposes, adding colonies into the mix will bring the chance of this particular combo, or for any combination of 1 card, 1 prelude and 1 corp, to 80 out of 332,850 or 0.0240%. That makes no sense, there's a 0 there, but okay. About 40% increase. So, my man, Trevor, thank you first of all for actually doing all of this math. If anybody appreciates math, it's me. But I just have to make fun of you a little bit because you just mentioned that getting 3 combo pieces at once is so unlikely. And then immediately you just mentioned that Omni Space Mirror's Equatorial Magnetizer is another good combo. And I'm like, well, that's just as unlikely, isn't it? Let's actually talk about the combos he's talking about here. So first of all, Extreme Cold Fungus plus Recyclone. I agree, this combo is really good. He mentioned this one. Then he mentioned Space Mirrors plus Equatorial Magnetizer. And I just have to say that this combo by itself is not actually that good, because what are you really getting? You're getting 1 tiara every generation, and like we've established, that's like 8 mega credit production, but you're spending 7. So if you put some numbers on it and just assume that you spend 3 mega credits to buy these 2 cards, all of a sudden you've spent 20 mega credits just to get 1 mega credit production. That's not good. The combo Trevor here mentioned is that you also have the Omni Corporation, so if you put all of this together, it's pretty nice. I wouldn't say this is completely broken, it's just fine, to be honest, because once again you are paying 20 mega credits just to play these 2 cards, and on top of that, with this combo you're spending 10 mega credits just to get 2 tiara every generation. So that's good, of course, but considering you spend like 20 mega credits just to get this up and running, it makes me think that it's okay. It's not great, it's not bad, it's okay. But ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't stop here. I'm introducing to you now the 3rd nerd, maybe the biggest nerd of them all. So this is Russ. So I'm not going to read all of this, you can pause the video and read it yourself if you want, but basically, first of all, he's a nice guy. He said, here's my quantitative analysis of the combo. Sorry for self-reference. Oh, what a nice guy. And basically after he put this combo through his math machine, then it turned out to be 59, which is just within the error bars of 60. Basically he's saying that this is okay. He's actually saying the same as me, that this is okay, it's not good, it's not bad, it's like a pretty average combo. It seems like this guy Russ knows what he's talking about. I mean, if you're throwing this much math at like a board game geek thread, I have respect for you, and I'm humbly bowing. This guy obviously knows what he's talking about, I think. So that's pretty much it for this video. Here's a list of all the combos we looked at today, and I just wanted to say I made a little bit of fun of these 3 guys on the Board Game Geek thread, and they're probably not watching, but if they are, I hope you guys are cool with it. And to be perfectly honest, I'm very happy that you're here. I'm really happy that people like you are starting some good conversations on Board Game Geek threads and stuff like this, and especially that you're throwing so much math at it. I mean, that's awesome, man. I really do appreciate that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.